Hey everybody, welcome back. This week, we're going to try our hands at some body work. It's been a long time since I've done any, but I'm going to try it again. Stay tuned. I'm Andy. This is We Love to Camp. Let's do it. When you're dealing with these razor knives, you need to be really careful. Careful you don't cut yourself. Which brings me to another point. You should always have good, proper size bandages, band-aids, and the like. That way you don't have to run around with paper towel and painter's tape all over you. Well, that took entirely too long. I've been cleaning all that tape off of here for the last 2.5 hours. It's good stuff. If you ever have something you want to tape and you don't ever want to remove, I mean ever, Gorilla Tape is that's your go-to. If you want to tape something for temporary, not a good idea. I don't recommend it for this application like I did recommend the other day. I guess it was a couple weeks ago. But to the Gorilla people, awesome product. So here's what we're working with. You can see where we leaned up against a pole. It's not all that bad. It's not all that deep. But obviously, it did break the surface. So we're going to use fiberglass repair, Duraglass. It's actually not Duraglass by brand name. This is actually the Bondo glass. Bondo's largest, I think it's the largest. It's at least the most well-known auto body filler product. What I need to start off with is sanding down the area. This is one of those where I don't know if you're going to be able to do it really good if you don't have tools already. Because with such a small repair like this, it'd probably be cheaper to go to a body shop than it would be to buy the tools. Let's get some tools. All right, everybody, what we're dealing with here is a dual action sander, a DA. This is what they use in the body shops. And it's not just like a grinder. A grinder just goes in circles, just like that. But this actually goes around like this. It's a dual action. It sands little circles as it goes around. And by doing that, it digs into the finish less and just gives a nice, smooth, beautiful sanding instead of digging and gouging. This is where the expensive tools come in. This is, I can't remember what brand this one is. I've had it for 25 years. But there's this, then there's the air compressor. It gets expensive. The dual action also helps keeping you from clogging up sandpaper, which you can see I was already starting to clog up, but this is really, really fine sandpaper. It's not what it's supposed to be used for. It's just what I have. Now is also where cleanliness starts to come into play. The cleaner the surface, the better the repair. Now I'm not sure if you can see on the screen, but here, all the way down to here, and to there, that's all scuffed, no longer smooth. Nothing's gonna stick to a smooth surface, except Gorilla Tape. This is what we're using. Like I said, we got Bondo glass. Got this stuff at Walmart, it's like $15. Plastic spreaders. These were $4. Amazon box, that cost a fortune. You mix this stuff, this little tiny tube treats that entire can. So it only takes a little bit of this to activate that. Put it on here, put a little bit on top, stir it up with the spreader, and then spread it on the wall. It's that easy, but it's not that easy. A stir stick would be nice, but I don't have one, so I'm going to use a very cheap paintbrush as a stir stick. If there's any real body men out there that want to yell at me, go for it. Okay, that's not bad. I have to come back and give it another coat because this is still a dip. We're gonna let that stuff dry now, and then we're gonna sand it, and we're gonna put another coat on it. If you don't try, you won't succeed. This repair may look terrible, and if it does, I'll have to take it to a body shop. But I've got less than 20 bucks wrapped up into it. I already own the tools, I already had the sandpaper, but I have less than $20 out of my pocket. If I do succeed, then it's a really cheap repair. At a bare minimum, I just saved them 2 or 3 hours of ripping off that tape, and that's $180 an hour that I don't have to pay. So even if this is a fail, it's going to come out saving me money. I have found out that these panels are not painted. What we're looking at here is actually the fiberglass and the, what do you call it, the gel coat. I don't know how what do they do? Stain the gel? I don't know, because these also came in a beige color. There's no paint on top of it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do for now. I'm going to put some primer on it and spray some white paint over it, and whatever happens, happens. I may end up taking it in and trying to have somebody paint match it and blend it and make that spot look better. I may just put a sticker over it, like I'd said before. Maybe a map of the United States where you put what states you've been in. We've got that on the slide. I can just move it up onto the wall. I don't like that idea at all. However, at the minimum, once it's sanded, primered, painted, once I get done with this, it will be weatherproof. I don't have to worry about rot, mold. It will be better than broken. It'll be better than taped. And I'll have saved a lot of money just on labor alone. That's if this is a fail. So even if it's a fail, it's a win. So I went digging around in the garage and I found some 180 DA paper. And this is a different system. This is a 3M hook it. It's like Velcro. But the beauty is that it doesn't have a paper backing, and it breathes and it gets rid of a lot of the dust, the filler dust, on its own. I don't know if this is something that's made it through the years or not. I've had this stuff sitting around for at least probably about 12 years, 12 to 15. Turn on the compressor. So where we're sitting, this is a little high and this is a little low. So I'm going to knock this down up here. Then we're going to stir up some more and hopefully put the last coat on there. And after that, I'm probably going to do something about this. Also, since there's hardly any fiberglass in here, it's mostly resin, you don't have to worry about the fiberglass getting in your skin. Any of you who've ever had to go up into the attic and mess with that pink stuff, the insulation up there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, hopefully this is the last one. Now if you use too much hardener, it'll get hard too quick and not set up properly. Doesn't make any sense, but it won't harden properly. Now if you don't put enough on there, it'll never cure. Okay, so now this is the black rubber or plastic that rubbed off of the van, this van. And I used a little bit of rubbing compound over here. There was a little bit of it right here and a rag, and I was able to get it off. So I don't want to use a rag on this. That's going to take forever. So I'm going to use mechanical tools. First thing, you got to clean up the area. I'm not going to wash this thing, so I'm just going to use this. This is usually my go-to. If you're not going to actually wash it, then this is a good alternative. It is harsh on the paint, it's harsh on the wax, but right now I'd like to remove the wax. That's doing that. And I want to remove any deposits. When we were camping last week, this door got filthy when it was in open position. There we go. 3M egg foam pad. I don't know what number it is. I don't know anything about it, but I know it's better than going like this with my hand. This I bought for a job that I did detailing a guy's Cadillac. I think it was $35, $40, but then you still need the Velcro backer. I have no clue what that cost. Rubbing compound, turtle wax, cheap stuff, Walmart. Yeah, what was it? $6? No TV magic. The rubbing compound, hold on. Rubbing compound is not to be taken lightly. The more expensive the finish, the more detrimental it can be. This is liquid sandpaper. This is very, 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 very fine. What, 3,000 grit, 5,000 grit. You're not going to get sandpaper like this. But it removes. Man. Glad I'm not towing in this weather. But anyways, the rubbing compound removes bits of the paint, or what's on top of the paint in this case. Now, let me see. Can you see it? Yeah, I don't think you can see it. But this is actually a little bit shinier than the rest of this. Some of that's because it's clean, but some of it's because of the rubbing compound. This is actually being a little more stubborn than I expected. My compressor's too small for this, so I've got to wait for it to build up pressure. You can hear how much it winds down as I'm using it. Getting there. Now, the only reason I'm doing this, the insurance adjuster said this door is no longer available. Now, if the body shop tells me that it is available, then it's going to get replaced, because in reality, the structure is compromised. But if we can't replace it, at least it'll look halfway decent. I may have to create a structure inside of it to make it sturdy, but at least it'll look good, or at least better anyways. Man. I have to take that one step harder. Hold on. Now, like I said, this is being a little more stubborn, so I gotta be a little more aggressive here. We're going back to the sandpaper. This is 400 grit, so it's a bit coarse for this, but I'm just gonna get on here and just barely kiss it. And again, I'm not using the right stuff, I'm not using it the right way. I'm not even using the right lube here. Usually you use water. It's all but gone. Just give it another little kiss right here and here. Voila. Yep. Now basically, you've heard of people wet sanding a car or color sanding it. That's where they use really, really fine sandpaper and water, and then they sand it down to where all the paint is flat, and then they rub it out. That's essentially what I just did here. Yes, because that's flat now. Again, I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but this is all not glossy. So now I got to hit it with rubbing compound and make it glossy again. What I'm doing here is I'm just applying it over the area instead of just pulling the trigger and having it spray everywhere. Now, look at that. that dry up for a second. Okay, I can still see it. I need to polish a little bit more. Some air build up again. I could be at work, but I decided to stay home and have this kind of fun. Unless the boss is watching, then I did this Saturday. Looks a lot better. I can still see it, but it looks a whole lot better. Let's see what this does. I could use the buffer, but I don't want to use rubbing compound I'm trying to wax. That pad does have the rubbing compound in it right now. I have taken it and washed it in the sink and then used it for another, for wax instead of rubbing compound. You know what? I'm calling that good. From this angle, it looks beautiful, right? And even from this angle, it looks great. Now, if you get right along here, you might be able to see some of this on the camera. I don't know. Like right here. It's just a little bit hazy. But you know what? I'll take that. I'll take that any day. Not perfect, but it's perfectly fine. All right, this is round 2. I don't know if you can see the depth on either one of these cameras, but this is way too high. This is where it started drying up on me as I was putting it on. And then I got some that's too high here, and it gets a little lumpy right there. So this is not going to be the last application, not only because of how it dried up on me too quick, but I can still feel the dip right there and right there. This is probably a dip also, but I can't tell yet. And when you're checking your work, you see me rubbing my hand against it. You don't just go like this, because you can't feel anything like that. What you got to do is you got to go sweeping like this, so you know what flat feels like. I get right there, this is high. And then this is low, this is low. That's definitely low, and this is definitely way high. And if you really want to get into really, really hardcore, good bodywork, then I should have a rag or a glove on my hand, because just the texture difference alone can confuse your hand a little bit. But that's for the high-end, really, really high-end paint jobs, show cars. Built it up way too high. I could just slop some more filler in here in the low spots, because I know that's low, I know that's low, and I know that's low. I could do that and then just sand all of it down at the same time. But that is not preferable, because one, you'd be putting filler into non-sanded areas, so it can't get a good bite. That's one of the main ones. And then also, it's when you have this much on here, it's easy to sand too far and then have to go again with another coat. This is getting real close. Okay, I think for the last coat, we're going to go ahead and go to Bondo body filler. This is the plastic filler. This goes in a little bit easier. It'll fill some of the little pinholes that are in it. Starting to run out of Amazon boxes. Don't tell El Presidente. She will go out and spend more. That's way too much. Don't get them confused. This is a different hardener. Oof. And just like the other stuff, you want to try to mix it to an even color. But you see how you still have some gray in there, right here, right there? Keep on mixing until it's all the same color. And again, you have to work quick. If you don't, it dries up on you. Okay, this is starting to harden up. Now the same deal. We wait. Hey everybody, it's the next day already. I thought I had this nailed, but it needs a little bit of spot glaze putty, I think is what they call it. Glazing and spot putty. This fills in the little bits of imperfections, fills pinhole scratches, minor dings, and hairline cracks. Another Bondo product. It's got a little bit of a dip here and a little bit right here. But more importantly, imperfections. And then there's some right there, And there's some down there. Touch right there. So all those were air bubbles in the filler. And then when it got sanded down, that's what happened. It just uncovered them. Now they're little tiny holes, pits. It's just like the other stuff. You just smear it on and then smear it off, fill in the imperfections. It's not a two-part mixture. It's all ready to go. Basically, though, it's the same thing as the others. You fill it, you let it dry, you sand it. Okay, it's dried up. We're going to hit it with a DA with the 400 grit. Probably going to use a few of these. You can wipe this down with a clean lint-free rag. But if you really want to get picky and do it properly, yeah, I know. One thing I'm doing properly, huh? Get some tack rags. I happen to have these lying around from 15 years ago. So what we're using here is a $7.50, $8 Rust-Oleum Automotive Primer. And it is a filler primer, high build formula. Always shake this, always, always, always. And we'll let that one dry. Here goes nothing. And here we go. We're going full Joe Dirt again. Duplicate color. And again, light coats. This might match closer than I was thinking. Getting better. Looks better already. Always under a time crunch. Today's Tuesday. We roll out Friday evening. We're going to Indiana. I can't remember the name of the town. I'll try and put it like right up here. Cornerstone Campground and Retreat. It's in eastern Indiana, just off of I-70. Really cool place. We're going there for the 4th of July. They always put on a really good firework show. Matter of fact, I live in a small town in the middle of a cornfield. I've said this before. Population right around 10,000. Of course, like all small towns, the town has money problems. This campground does a better display than what this town does. Let that one flash. Now let's see if I can get one more coat out of here. I have another can somewhere, but I can't find it. In case some of you didn't quite catch what's going on here, I'm using that to keep the paint from off the door. There's a light breeze going this way. It's quicker and easier than taping everything off. And I don't have that much newspaper. You know how hard it is to find newspaper these days? Beautiful. All right. I'm gonna call this good enough for tonight. Is it perfect? No. Is it undetectable? Also no. However, it's better than a hole covered with Gorilla Tape. And it's better than just leaving the hole uncovered, of course. But this will, what do you call it, 10-footer? Once I wash everything and maybe put some wax over it, it may disappear. It may disappear altogether. I doubt it. I do think the color is off just a little bit. It's a lot closer than I expected, though. Yeah, you can see a little bit right there. But if you didn't know it was there, you probably might not notice. So I'm calling this good for now. May get another coat later. It may just get waxed. A little bit of rubbing compound. Now remember, okay, the paint is right here. The sanded spot comes out to here. So I've got like this much. And same thing over here. And a little bit less up here. But I've got some spots that are sanded that need to be polished up. So if I hit all this rubbing compound and lightly go over the fresh paint, it might blend it in a little bit better. But like I said, I'm calling that a win. You know, just after vacation, who has money to put their camper into a body shop, especially when you're rolling back out? And 1 week later, then we're gone for 10 days. Now we come home for a week and we're leaving again for the weekend. 4-day weekend. Who has time or money to put this stuff in the body shop? I sure don't. So this is gonna do for now. And I'll make up my mind later on as time goes on as to what's actually gonna happen. This is one of those good enough for now fixes. This is after polishing, well, rubbing out and polishing. And you know, you can still see the repair. It's not perfect, but I'll tell you what. You almost have to be looking for it. That's gonna be it this week.